So, as I was thinking about this a lot, the libraries are in a bit of a unique position compared to a lot of research centers and academic units on campus, in that we are very much the sort of incubator space where a lot of this kind of research and intersection of ideas happens. That's happening all over the place, but that's something that we have really entrenched ourselves in as we think about our role in the research process and with communities. A good number of library faculty members are engaged in their own research that's very community grounded and community centric. But as far as my perspective and what we're doing, it's really just focused on how can we find that place of intersection in the research process and meet with our communities and create more understanding in that realm. So, there are times at which we are highlighting work that has been discovered or been published, but a lot of times what this might look like is bringing together groups into our spaces, virtual or real, and looking at something in the midst of that process, right? What are the questions that are being asked? What are the kinds of resources that we are providing that are feeding into that process? How can it have benefit to these communities, and how can those community members be part of that process and actually contribute to it? We do that in a lot of the ways very similar to what Carrie described as far as some of the specific tactics for outreach. Events engagement has been pivotal and central to a lot of our work. Obviously, that looks a little bit different this day and age, but I think, for years, I can say that the sort of culture of how we work and how we reach out into our campus community has benefited by having that kind of grounded human component and a two-way channel for dialogue. So really thinking about how can we have a continual conversation about what is happening on campus, more than just announcing something that is new and a, cutting edge piece of research. I've touched a little bit on, why this might be important. Obviously, for our scholars and researchers, being able to share and create that sense of awareness and relevance for their work is critical. And those exchanges can create a spark for new research and new kinds of investigation down the road. For community members, that awareness obviously can have a positive benefit on their lives. It can enrich them. It can provide, meaningful insight to solve a problem or a need that they may have. But I think one thing that really strikes me is that, it's the greater than the sum effect here, right? It's more than just two parts of good. It's that cyclical exchange nature of it that creates even more value, that sense of meaning and what the university as a whole is providing for our community, for the state of Kansas, and how we are influencing those lives. And not only how we might be creating some benefit for those communities, but I think in the libraries especially, we can see chances for community members to have an active voice, to be an advocate, and to be part of that life cycle. When we think about the knowledge resources that play into so much of the research today, and much of that is grounded in the library's collections, I think it's been especially meaningful to see a community member, provide, for instance, an archive of their family history that provides this kind of web of networking and insight into, a particular community at a particular time that influences research and has rippling effects. And so those are the kinds of outcomes to this that I think are most meaningful and drive our work in this area. About the when that we do this, obviously sometimes that research, that exploration is a piece of the equation. But again, as Carrie said, really thinking about our communities. When are they likely to be sort of tuned in? When might they most care? When can we catch them at a time when, ears will be perked and we can start that kind of dialogue? And again, too, that connection to broader social interests or movements is something that really drives a lot of our thinking too. We've had some good success, my library colleagues, not to take any credit for this, but we've had some great interaction around those kind of happenings, sort of live fact checking of debates. And we had a teach-in during the Standing Rock period of time. And so, really moving quickly and trying to sort of mobilize ourselves to have those interdisciplinary and intercommunity conversations at those times has been really resonant for us. And then as we think about how we do that, I touched a little bit on some of those, channels. The approach that we take is very sort of objective centered. So, what are we hoping to accomplish by this? Really thinking through who are these communities that we're trying to reach. And those two pieces, of course, are central in driving us toward, what we want to say and by what mechanism, whether it's a tweet, a press release, an event. And then just a couple of other quick thoughts here. I think we really approach this from a personal perspective. Again, sort of building on what Carrie said, the more we can tell our stories through that human lens, an individual whose words, who's an image, a video of them, and showing how there is a need that we are connecting around. There is, perhaps a legacy that we are preserving and sharing if it's not a sort of need or problem. But doing that and being very conscious too of that balance between the more research centric kind of the data and the metrics of our message and the more colloquial emotive language. Then, and for every audience that's a little bit different, but really being attuned to that is a big piece of it. And I guess the last point I'll note, I do have a background in visual communication, but I can't underscore enough how important I feel like that is in a lot of our work, is really thinking through the power of the visual in a lot of these storytelling approaches, whether that's a photo, whether it's an infographic that distills a really complex topic in a very immediate way. We know how much research there is into that impact of visual imagery to increase, appeal and comprehension and retention of information. So I think that's a very important piece to keep in mind where it's possible.